is so superficial.
LA has no culture.
Nobody walks in LA.
Are you kidding me? We're tackling some of LA's biggest myths, misconceptions, and stereotypes, because that is not LA.
This is Eye on LA, driven by the all-new 2019 Ram 1500.
Hi everyone, I'm Tina Malave coming to you today from the gorgeous Kenneth Hahn Recreation Area in Baldwin Hills. Now, over the years, it's likely that you've heard some misconceptions about LA, and usually from people who don't live here. So today, we're busting some of those myths with the help of a new book.
This book is called This Is Not LA, An Insider's Guide to the Real Los Angeles, debunking the cliches, crushing the haters, and generally making you wish you lived here or happier that you already do. This Is Not LA is divided into 18 myths that we debunk about Los Angeles, and there are also 8 spotlights that we focused on specific topics. And the reason why I felt this book needed to exist is actually because I am a former Los Angeles hater. I grew up in the Bay Area, and then I moved to New York City after college, and we thought ourselves infinitely superior to the second biggest city in the US. Until I moved here in 1998, I thought Los Angeles was all of the cliches that a lot of people believe. I started to see a really different kind of Los Angeles. This incredibly vibrant, dynamic, driven, ambitious place that was filled with smart people doing great things. Not to mention that it's surrounded by natural beauty. The mountains right here to hike within 20 to 30 minutes, the ocean, the beaches, Griffith Park. And over time, I've wondered why it is that people feel comfortable hating on Los Angeles, given that it's actually one of the most amazing cities in the country, if not the world. Everybody in Los Angeles should own this book because I want them to be proud of their city, and I want them to know why they are proud of their city.
Myth number 1, LA has no history.
So to say that there's no history in Los Angeles is essentially to say that everything other than white European history doesn't count.
Just try telling that to the paleontologists at the La Brea Tar Pits, one of the most famous fossil sites in the world.
I remember the La Brea Tar Pits from my childhood, visiting my grandparents who lived here, and I've been fascinated by them ever since. They're right in the middle of the city, right next door to the LA County Museum of Art.
Oozing tens of feet below busy Wilshire Boulevard lies a treasure trove of animals dating back to the Ice Age. Fascinating finds like mighty mastodons, ferocious saber-toothed cats, and giant 1,500-pound ground sloths that once roamed Los Angeles during the Pleistocene era almost 40,000 years ago.
We have over 5.5 million fossils in our collection. We're standing in Pit 91, which we are currently excavating. It was opened up in 1915. If you come to Hancock Park, you can see our excavators at work. See some of these amazing discoveries we've made in person.
Right now, I'm sitting in front of a deposit that's typical of what we find here. It's a jumble of bones from many different individuals. So right here we have a saber-toothed cat pelvis, a bison sacrum, and even the femur of a juvenile mastodon. And these guys are mixed in with thousands of other bones, plants, insect shells. It's really cool to see so many bones just concentrated in a small area.
The single person found at the La Brea Tar Pits is known as the La Brea woman, dated to about 10,000 years old. But actually, the oldest human remains in North America were found here in the Channel Islands.
The Channel Islands are LA's closest national park. Bones discovered in 1959 on Santa Rosa Island, now known as the Arlington Springs Man, date back 13,000 years.
The remains that are on Channel Islands have provided substantiation for the theory that humans came to North America down the Bering Strait land mass.
Before the Europeans arrived, the California region had the largest Native American population north of what's currently Mexico.
And Tongva is one of the tribes that was most numerous and settled here in the LA area.
In 1994, the state of California recognized the Gabrielino Tongva Nation as the Aboriginal tribe of the Los Angeles Basin, And today, there are many sites that pay homage to LA's Tongva natives, like Tongva Park in Santa Monica, with its stunning features and a gorgeous view. North was the Chumash, who primarily occupied the area from Topanga Canyon through Santa Barbara, including 3 of the northern Channel Islands. The Chumash Indian Museum in Thousand Oaks offers a fascinating look at the area's earliest inhabitants.
And of course, it's the same old story of absolutely brutal colonialism that we have all over the country and, all over the world.
And the LA area is also considered part of the ancestral home of the Aztec people, who founded pre-Hispanic Mexico. In the words of Tupac Shakur, it wouldn't be LA without Mexicans. And that's actually a historical fact.
So when people say that Los Angeles is turning into Mexico, there is a logical fallacy in that statement because Los Angeles was once Mexico.
In 1781, a group of 44 settlers of mixed Spanish, indigenous, and African ancestry founded a small town by the river. Its original name? El Pueblo de Nuestra Señora la Reina de Los Angeles. Over the decades, the names lost a few syllables, and the small Spanish settlement became a cluster of large Mexican ranchos, with the El Pueblo Plaza and Alvera Street at its core. Next up, we tackle the myth made famous by a song, and we flip the script on a trope based on bigotry. Today we're busting myths and breaking stereotypes about LA, and I bet you've heard this one before. Myth number 2, nobody walks in LA. When I hear people say this, I say, yeah, you're right, we hike.
This is the best hiking city. We have Griffith Park, which has a 53-mile network of trails and fire roads for hiking. Then the Santa Monica Mountains National Recreation Area, which is basically our backyard. A lot of people in LA are no more than 20 minutes from a great hike in nature, including here at Kenneth Hahn State Park.
Also, we have stairs
Yes.
that people will hike up all the time, including these stairs that go steeply up here
Yep.
at Kenneth Hahn, up to the Baldwin Hills overlook, which is one of the most amazing vistas ever.
Absolutely, absolutely. Vistas and stairs. There's a whole network of them, and there's a whole community that has developed around walking these stairs.
So the next time you hear someone say, remember, it's an awesome missing persons song, but it's just a myth. Myth number 3, LA is third world. The trope that LA is becoming a third world city is mostly driven by the wealth gap and a bit of xenophobia because of our immigrant population. And while homelessness is a huge problem many cities across the country are facing, when it comes to our diverse communities, well, that's something to be proud of.
At the Golondrina restaurant.
To have a city with the diversity of Los Angeles is decidedly not developing world.
I was at work today, and I was like, I'm going to samba. And so I came out, I hear the drums, it's like I just want to,
You could literally travel around the world without ever leaving Los Angeles, and that's a wonderful thing.
It's a wonderful thing.
One of the things that you write about in this chapter is that you've heard people say that you can't find a sign in English in LA.
It's frustrating and it's ridiculous. There are places where some of the signage is bilingual, and even where there is bilingualism, who doesn't want that? You're driving through a neighborhood like Koreatown, and you see the Korean letters. To be able to recognize a language in that way, that is extraordinary. I feel like I get to have a cultural exchange. Los Angeles has the highest populations of many cultures and countries in the United States, and in fact, we have more Iranians and Persians than anywhere except Tehran.
There's even a strip of Iranian-owned shops and restaurants in the Westwood area, nicknamed Tarantulas.
I've seen more and more non-Persians getting introduced and fallen in love with this type of cuisine.
It's not the normal stuff that you would normally find on a taco.
Not necessarily. No.
And when we talk about the food in Los Angeles, fusion is a bit of a dirty word because that implies sort of cultural appropriation. And instead, what we're seeing now is the first and second generation Americans whose parents were immigrants coming of age and just naturally and fluently speaking both languages through their food.
We come here pretty much every weekend, and we love the family that runs the place.
If not for her, there would be no food. She does all the cooking here, so it was her dream. Anybody who walks in the door is welcome here. It belongs to us all.
Next, we school the haters who claim LA has lousy food. And we take on the misconception that LA has no center. This next myth about LA is so insane, it's ridiculous to even address it. But we're gonna. Myth number 4, LA has lousy food.
I just don't see how anybody who knows anything can say that. And in 2017, Zagat ranked Los Angeles as America's best food city.
We're actually on the cutting edge of cuisine. World-renowned chef Wolfgang Puck is the culinary genius behind an underground dinner party at the Pacific Design Center.
It's an exciting new concept. It's called Rogue. Rogue is really, you expect the unexpected.
I kind of feel like this is a scenario where Wolfgang is out of town and we're sneaking into his house and working with some of his best chefs to create this cool little secret party. That's what it feels like.
You know what? It is a little bit like that.
Inside the high-tech kitchen is a small army of Wolfgang's chefs from his roster of restaurants. All of them thinking outside the box.
So here they can innovate as much as they want. This kitchen here and the food we serve here is probably better than any 3-star restaurant in France, in Spain, or in Italy.
But Wolfgang is just one of many respected and celebrated chefs inspiring creative cooking.
What we think of as the old guard of LA food is still here and still strong. Nancy Silverton with the La Brea Bakery and Osteria Mozza, and influencing so many different chefs. Mary Sue Milliken and Susan Feniger with their interpretation of Mexican food at Border Grill.
You want to talk original and groundbreaking grub? Look no further than Chef Roy Choi's Korean short rib tacos.
We're part of history in Los Angeles now.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think like that.
Choi successfully combined Korean barbecue with the taco, and in the process, he helped elevate and legitimize food trucks by doing gourmet chef-level cuisine on wheels. Was there a time that you kind of realized, wow, this is actually bigger than LA?
Probably within the second month of Kogi out on the streets. We would roll out, and then all of a sudden, when we throw our Twitter out, there would be 1,600 people out on the street.
Wow!
We knew we were on to something.
And tucked away behind a now defunct pizza joint sign is Twamek by famed fresh chef Ludo Lefebvre. When it comes to creativity, he's something of a mad scientist in the kitchen. Proud of yourself sometimes when something works?
Yes, it's very yeah. Oh my God, it worked.
So one thing I've always heard about your cooking is people can't get over all of the flavors, that they taste every one of the flavors that you put in here.
I always say to my chef, all the time, it's, yes, presentation is very important, but the most important thing is flavor.
In the last 10 years or so, many chefs that would have gone to New York or who were already in New York have been coming to Los Angeles to establish restaurants. So it's become a real draw for chefs from all countries and all parts of the US in a way that it never was before.
Myth number 5, LA has no center.
We say that LA may not have a heart as its center, but it has a spine, and that spine is Wilshire Boulevard.
From the ocean to downtown, this symbolic spine rolls on for almost 16 miles, connecting and unifying towns, villages, and neighborhoods. And in a move that squashes yet another myth, Wilshire plops you right in the middle of downtown.
People say LA has no downtown, and we say LA does have a downtown, and you know what it's called? Downtown.
And it's off the chain. Businesses are booming, entertainment is non-stop, there's free family fun, as well as bars and pubs catering to the adult crowd. And art is all around you.
It's amazing what's going on in the Arts District. Are you guys just blown away by how fast this place is blowing up?
Everyone is very excited about what's going on. There's just been a huge explosion in interest here.
You can also eat your way through downtown.
I'm starving.
Are you ready for some world famous, iconic taquitos?
I am. Let's do this.
Right,
Come on.
From historic Alvera Street, known as the birthplace of Los Angeles, to Grand Central Market, 100 years old and still going strong. Delicious bites and friendly faces are the norm here, where you'll find a dynamic mix of funky and fresh, plus old world charm.
So LA has a downtown, and you know what? If you're an insider, you write it as DTLA.
We're smacking down two of the biggest myths about LA. Can you guess what they are? Coming up next. I've heard people claim this next myth about LA for as long as I can remember, and clearly they're clueless. Myth number 6, LA is a cultural desert.
Another myth that we hear a lot is that LA has no culture. And what do people mean by that? They mean high culture. They mean the European arts, painting, symphony orchestra, high literature.
One of LA's first big attractions was when the famous artist Paul de Longpre came to LA from France in 1899, and tourists would go see him to get their portraits painted and have lunch in his garden. Now there's a park named after him in the middle of Hollywood. Today, LA is bursting with every kind of art, especially high culture visual and performing arts.
Los Angeles has several world-class museums, and the J. Paul Getty Trust is the world's largest cultural and philanthropic organization dedicated to the visual arts.
When the Broad took residence in 2015, it brought one of the most important art collections in the world to LA.
The appetite for cultural experience in this city is tremendous, and we're experiencing that every day, and it's very exciting.
We've got tons of great museums, like the Hammer in Westwood and the Marciano Art Foundation in Central LA.
But we also have extraordinary street culture, street art, popular art, outsider art, and you couldn't have a better array of art forms to see and experience and hear in Los Angeles.
To top it off, LA has one of the largest performing arts centers in the country.
We are transforming the music center to be relevant in the 21st century. We really believe that this is a critical part of a community and enriches the lives of Angelinos.
And the gleaming Frank Gehry designed Walt Disney Concert Hall, home to the LA Phil.
The Los Angeles Philharmonic was recently ranked 8th in the top 20 symphony orchestras of the world. Esa-Pekka Salonen took the helm as the music director from 1992 to 2009, and that made just an incredible imprint. And then he turned over the reins to Gustavo Dudamel, who is, absolutely extraordinary and world-class.
And that pretty much crushes the stereotype that LA has no culture. Myth number 7, LA is superficial. Well, I can tell you firsthand from my travels in and around Los Angeles that LA is as real can get.
You're changing destinies out there.
From our social activist game changers like Crenshaw's gangsta gardener Ron Finley.
Good job, gangster.
To our many chefs who share generations of their family recipes to nourish our bodies.
Those are my
as well as our creative community that nourishes our souls with music and arts. No, LA is not superficial, and we're also not perfect.
Then now's the fun time.
But we are a crazy family, made up of inspiring individuals, hardworking business owners who care about their customers, and some of the most loving people I've ever had the pleasure of meeting.
So be proud of this place we call home, because there's no place like it in the world.
Go to abc7.com/EyeOnLA to see today's show again. Then show us what you love about LA on Facebook and Instagram using #EyeOnLA. And check out more myths about LA in Jen Bilik's fantastic book, This Is Not LA.
I'm Tina Malave. We'll see you next time, friends.